All right, guys, and welcome back to episode 89 of the Impact Defense Podcast, which is really just episode 88, part 2.
Yes, we're still here with Scott Clausen from Fight Factory in Salisbury, North Carolina.
We have, we kind of get together and we can talk a lot. There's a few of my friends that once we get together, it's just never-ending reminiscence and fun stories and all that kind of stuff. I hope you guys are enjoying all of this. We are still talking about loosely the importance of ground fighting for self-defense. Of course, with lots of like MMA stories and other stories that kind of go into play as well.
I think it's turned into probably shouldn't talk about this podcast.
Yeah, well, at times. All right, here we go. As we are getting back into this, let me just say really quick that we need to say about an ad, a sponsor of the podcast. In this case, I think it's us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So impactdefense.online.
What can we find there?
Well, we can find all kinds of things there. I mean, there's all kinds of things. But what I really wanted to point out was we've got some really neat and cool. Neat is not a word people use. I don't know where that came from. We got some really awesome new T-shirts.
We've got some tight new threads.
Tight new threads. There we go. We got some new T-shirts. Guys, go check those things out. We got some of the old designs still up, and then we got some new designs that have come out. I hope that you really enjoy that. We should have some of those. I don't know what I'm saying now. Forget that.
Go look at our new T-shirts.
Go check out our new T-shirts. Order our new T-shirts. All of that kind of stuff helps us out as the podcast.
Online.
It helps us out. Helps us to get the word out about self-defense.
And you look cool while wearing it.
And you look super freaking cool while wearing it. All right. On to our discussion with Scott.
My first Muay Thai teacher, Master Sam, he was here way back. He was back in that first school you came to. I don't know if you ever came to when he did a seminar.
No, I never made it out for that.
He was half Thai and half Cambodian, and during that war, he ended up moving to Thailand because I guess his family got killed in the war or whatever. Mm-hmm. And his grandfather took him there, and they didn't have any money anywhere to live. He's 5 years old, so they put him in the Muay Thai camp because they knew he would get shelter and food.
Yeah,
he started fighting at 6. Retired at 24.
Yeah.
Like 300 fights. And that was so prevalent. That was a lot of those guys, man. That's an amazing life.
Yeah,
but now there's so much money in it and so many people traveling there, they don't retire. Like Sanchai, he's still fighting.
How old is he?
He's got to be 40.
Okay. That's
we need to look that up. I want to know how old he is. I'm going to train with him in 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's doing a seminar. I've already got my spot, man.
That's fun to watch.
That's like going and training with Hickson or somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it, but you should go over there, man. Tell your wife to give you that as a gift. Send you to Thailand to train, man.
Yeah. So, Jay, you think you want to run the school while I'm doing that?
I'm already teaching most of the classes. All you got to do is get Scott to teach the Kyokushin and Ginger to teach the early one, and I'm good. Whatever.
There you go, man. You would enjoy it, man.
Oh, I can guarantee I would enjoy it.
As good as your striking is, man, you over there with them guys.
I guarantee I would enjoy it. So,
all right, so you got to start taking over give him a couple weeks vacation.
I'm really on the floor all day, so it doesn't make much of a difference.
Yeah. And this it's funny. She came in. I have had to kind of step back off the floor for some of the classes. I still teach a lot, I still teach all of our like teens and our adults and our stuff like that. But like some of the, like all the sport karate classes and the little kids classes, which people ask me all the time. So like, what do you do to your kids? I said, well, it's technically sport karate. We do some they do the cool kata stuff that they can do and stuff. But when we're talking about self-defense, man, we're doing everything. I still include, I said, cause I can't, a lot of the sport karate crap that you see out there for self-defense, you know. I said, we can't do that. I can't bring myself to do that. I've got too much other training to sit around and let these kids do that kind of stuff that's not going to work. So, you know, I said, they're going to learn ground fighting. They're going to learn, you know, all the stuff that I've also done in combatives and stuff like that.
See, they're so lucky to have you doing that.
And this is why I brought Scott on the podcast.
But it's true, man. You know, I've gone to teach seminars at schools, and I'll see if it's a traditional martial arts school that are still doing like what we did way back in the day and haven't expanded and aren't teaching their students anything else, and have these students walking around thinking all they need is this. And like I told you before, I literally have people tell me that, no, I can't be taking down my kata. I can do a kata.
I can't believe people can say that at this point in life.
I have a term for it. It's called willful ignorance.
Yes. Yep. Done on purpose.
Exactly. Because all you have to do is walk in an MMA gym, or even walk in a college wrestling room, or even a good high school wrestler.
Yeah.
A good kid that's been wrestling for 4 or 5 years, a high school senior, 180, 200 pounds, will take you down before you can blink. Absolutely. If you don't have any takedown defense.
Yep. And even if they're good, even if you do have takedown defense.
Now, if there's a secret kata that you know, I think I want you to show me before I leave today.
I don't know that secret kata.
Do sparks fly while you're moving as well?
Hey, you know, if you know it, show it to me, because I need all the takedown defense I can use.
Show me the ancient scroll you got that from.
You say that as a joke. And the guy that said this, I'm going to find it, but when this is over, I'm going to show you. I'm going to find him on TikTok for you.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He was sent ancient scrolls from Japan. And I am not joking. It's on his TikTok. You can see it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So maybe I've missed out on something.
Is that anything like the Taekwondo master that called you last year?
Oh, was that the guy that? Oh, yeah. I was challenged to a street fight duel.
What?
Yeah. Like right here in the middle of town kind of stuff.
Wait, why have you not told me this?
I don't know. I never gave him much thought, but like it never got like serious until he saw another lady that works for us. She's on the podcast pretty often. And the guy just assumed, because she was coming in and she was unlocking the front door, that she was my wife. So he said, "Hey, tell your husband." I mean, I just, you know. But anyway, yeah, he had called me, and he was challenging me to all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever you say. And
he's a Taekwondo master, and he's gonna kill him with his kung fu. I'm like, hang on.
Yeah,
wait.
So he was a Taekwondo master and a kung fu master is what he was claiming, and he was going to take me out with all my little karate stuff. And I was like, all right, whatever you want to think, dude. You know, I don't care.
Did he have issues for real, like mental issues?
I don't know. I've never seen this guy face to face.
I think
Gentry,
he's just a troll.
I think so. I believe so. I never took him too seriously. But Gentry's the only person to see him face to face.
None of us know what he looks like.
Oh, okay.
All I know is how Brian sounds when he's on the phone with him.
Yeah, he called me a couple of times, and it was like, all right, yeah, okay. All right, sure thing.
I've had a few of those. It's not so much anymore, but especially back at that first school you came down to.
Yeah.
I had the doors open one Saturday morning, just having an open mat, just sparring. This guy rides in his bicycle, right in the doors, rides his bicycle onto the mat.
Oh, gosh.
Without a shirt on. He's ripped. I mean, he's cut.
Yeah.
And we're all just like amazed.
Dude, get your tires off the mat.
Yeah, exactly. And he says, "I'm looking for a fight." And at that time in my life, I was very willing to oblige.
Yeah. So, well, you came to the right place.
I went after him.
Yeah.
And he pedaled that bike out the door and down the sidewalk. And I was chasing him. Yeah. And I'm so glad I didn't catch him, because, you know, later on I found out he did have some issues.
Yeah.
So I would have felt really bad if I caught him. But he rode his bike in the door and on the mats, and
yeah,
it was, oh, wow.
These people are on another level. I'm just.
You know what I'm going to do? Let me know when he's teaching a class one day. I'm gonna pay a guy to ride a bike in here.
See, there's still that side of me. Somebody pulls a freaking bike on the mats. Yeah. I'm probably going to go after them. Yeah. And I've got
2:45 on Thursdays.
And 7:30 as well, for sure. But
we got to do it on a day when Jared McGuire's here, though.
I've got the fun part about this is I've been doing this long enough. I've got certain people that if I look at somebody and say, "Hey, hit that person," they'll just do it. Mm-hmm. I love that. I mean, I enjoy that a little too much.
Sometimes you got to green light people.
Yeah.
That's why I said nowadays, like I said, back in the day when somebody would come in like that, it started the guy. And, back then there were so many of us like at that gym that were fighting in the AFL. Oh, God. And somebody always had a fight going on then.
Yeah.
And people would come in wanting to fight and everybody would, me, pick me.
Yeah.
And, okay, go. I mean, there's... And
everybody grab your popcorn, pull the chair.
I had a guy call me, and I'm sure when you get a call, you get how much does it cost? What are the times? I get a call from a guy at that school, and he said, "Hey, I want to know if y'all worth my time." His opening sentence.
My God.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those.
Did you really?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And, long story short, I let him come down. I couldn't wait to get him in the door.
Yeah.
Now I wouldn't let him come near the gym.
Yeah, I know. I've that's the way I've kind of changed through the years
too much, but
yeah,
let him come in and spar, and he got drug. And the funny thing with that story is he told me he was 200-0 in street fights.
Yeah.
He came in and I let him spar with one of our females who was a blue belt. She choked him. That's the power of jiu-jitsu. He's 200-0 in street fights, and she choked him out like in under a minute.
Yeah.
And then he says he's better boxing. And Brian, you remember Keller?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a killer. He won the belt at the AFL.
Yeah.
And he had just finished a fight, and he was over there hitting the bag, and he was the same size as this dude. I said, "You can spar with him standing up if you want." No, he's a lot bigger than me. And he picks out a 150-pound guy. Well, the 150-pound guy just happened to have boxed in the Army. And you can imagine what happened there.
Yeah.
I started thinking, man, I gotta catch a lawsuit. I got to quit letting people do this.
Yeah, I had a guy who wanted to do a kickboxing fight, and he was just like, and he not only wanted to do a kickboxing fight, he wanted me to corner him, and I was like, no, I'm not cornering you. You better not mention my name if you do this. Mm-hmm. But if you want to come in here and spar and get some rounds in, you're welcome to do that. And so he's wearing a helmet, and we were sparring around a little bit, and I walked back. I'm working with some other guys, and he's now working with my brother. And you remember Matthew? Yeah. And he threw a hook, and Matthew ducked under that hook, come up, and threw a right hook right into his jaw. He folded in half. he was up against the wall, and Matthew hit him. He folded in half. His face went to his feet, and then he flopped back.
Did he sign a waiver?
Yeah. Okay.
He said, yeah, absolutely.
I've only made that mistake one time, but he laid him out, and it was like I was younger, and I'd be better now, but I mean I couldn't stop laughing. I'm a lot nicer person now, by the way.
Oh, man, you reminded me of so many stories.
I know the downside. I tell you, we might have to do another podcast at some point in time and just come back.
We might have to split this one into two.
I think we're okay.
All right, I'm just going to point you guys back to our newest sponsor, Alien Gear Holsters. So if you have any kind of firearm that you need a holster for, Alien Gear has a ton of options, and they're coming out with even more. If you guys are interested in that, you can go to impactalien.com.
Yes.
All right. So if you guys need a holster, that's where you can get one.
All right. So picking back up in our fun stories.
Oh, man. That guy that I was talking about earlier that came in and he lost the grappling matches. I told him when he sparred with the Army guy, Jared, I said, if he's only going to hit you as hard as you hit him. Well, he was no longer 200-0 because he'd been submitted, but now he's boxing, and he hits Jared what seems like it's hard, and Jared just looks at me like this, and and I go ahead, down he goes. Wow, man, you just brought back a lot of memories. There was a guy from a Taekwondo school.
Yeah.
And I know the guy, and he actually lives a block down from me, so I can't say his name. But he had came in.
Does he know he lives a block down from you?
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah. He doesn't train anymore, but he.
Hopefully, he doesn't listen to this podcast.
I hope he does.
Oh, okay. I hope he does listen to this podcast.
I'll laugh at him.
Okay.
But well, he would come up here and spar with you. He wouldn't do jiu-jitsu. He would come teach you some striking. Is what he would do.
Okay.
You're ready for that, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm
okay,
cool.
Cool. All right. Now he's actually a good dude. It's just that he was younger and cocky, and at the time I had a guy. That's a good reference to what you said earlier, like the way some schools spar, traditional martial arts schools spar, continuous sparring, real sparring, and some, oh, you touched my chest, stop, point.
Yeah.
So the guy that was helping me teach striking then was a little tank of a man. And he was from Hungary, and yeah, he could do the full splits. His kicks were amazing. And the other guy we're talking about, the cocky young guy, he wanted to spar, and I said, well, here, spar with Frank. And he said, well, I'm not sparring with that old dude. And Frank was probably in his mid-40s, and I just saw Frank's face just. He's like, dude, And I said, dude, don't spar with him hard, and Frank won't hurt you. And he's like, that old guy can't hurt me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
You're digging yourself a hole here, and you don't even know how deep.
Exactly. And I did not have him sign a waiver because this was back in that day. They start sparring.
Yeah. When I first came here, I don't think I ever signed a waiver.
Ah, man, let's go. Who cares? Let's spar. It's all fun. But like I said, there's lucky most dudes were nice like that.
Yeah.
And occasionally you have these dudes that have to be put in their place. Frank just leaned back and tapped him in the face with a round kick. And he said, man, I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to touch you. He's like, that didn't hurt. And he said something along the lines of, oh man, you can't hurt me or something like that.
Oh, my.
And that was it. Frank did a spinning back fist and hit him as hard as you can possibly hit another human. And the guy was starched out on the mat, arms straight up. And I was like, oh God, somebody got murdered on my ass. And I think he came back once or twice over the years, but the things, man, we should have books on the things we see.
I had this guy, and he was I don't know, at the time he was probably, it's been several years ago, but he was probably mid to late 40s at the time. He said, man, I was alcoholic. I had all this stuff going on. I know I've told you this story. I have this, I was alcoholic on this. He said, I just need to get my life straight. He said, I think discipline like this would help me. I mean, that's cool. I said, no, you're not coming in here drunk. You need to, these are the times for your classes, all this. Well, he showed up. He'd come for a little bit. And then all of a sudden he showed up one time. It was at a kid's class and he was plastered. I was like, you gotta leave. You cannot.
Wow.
He'd come in one time at a kid's class. He was perfectly fine, but he was just coming into a kid's class and just sat down. I'm like, no, you gotta leave. You can't be around with the kids' class are here. That's not the way we operate. This is when we were on the other side of town. And then he came back another time at a kid's class and was plastered. I sent him out. I told him, I said, listen, you got one more chance. No more. Okay, 3 strikes, you're out. He come back again, drunk, at a kid's class. I sent him off. Well, I don't remember if it was the next week or just happened to be the next day that class was offered, but he come back again just for his class. And I said, dude, I told you, you can't be here. I'm sorry. I kicked you out. We're not taking money out on you anymore. You can't be here. And he looked at me, he says, I can kick your butt. Like right there in front of all my adult students and everything. And I'm not somebody really filled with pride and stuff like that. I don't really care. But you're not going to sit there and challenge me in front of my students like that. And I looked over at the adult students. All of them couldn't stand him by this point anyway.
Okay.
And I was like, hey guys, we're sparring tonight. So, and this was a dumb thing to do. But anyway, I basically just beat the crap out of him for an hour. And he was throwing these now I have a really, really screwed up left knee. I was a catcher for years and screwed my knee up. And he's throwing straight kicks straight in my knee and stuff like that and everything. But we just kept going and kept going. And I'd move, and there's times I'd trip him and stuff like that, and he'd hit the ground. I had this one teenager who was sitting over there watching class. He looked at my wife. He goes, Miss Julie, why is Sensei beating up that old man?
Wow.
But anyway, he stopped in the middle of it. He goes, I'm pretty good, aren't I? I said, dude, you suck. I said, you see where my hands are? My hands have been at my waist the whole time. I said, I'm not even worried about you hitting me in the head. I said, you can't hit me in the head. I said, my wife's sitting right over there. I said, if you want to ask her, I said, she's watched me fight for years. I said, I'm not worried about you at all. And he looked at me and he looked at her. She's very non-confrontational. She just kind of like, I can't believe you pointed me out. Mm-hmm. And he turned back around and looked at me and he goes, you're a jerk. I said, okay.
And he's challenging you.
But he left. He never came back. He got arrested like 2 weeks after that for like public exposure. So I'm really glad I got him out of the school.
The guy that did the last story I told, the one that was 200-0 in street fight.
Yeah.
He called me 2 weeks later. Or I'm sorry, 2 months later, something like that. It was wild. He was gone, never came back, but I got a call from him and he said, I want to thank you. And I said, what? He said, after I left that class that day, I went and checked myself into rehab.
Oh, yeah.
He was on whatever drugs or drinking, and he was.
Well, that's good.
Had issues. So he took a blow to the ego enough to send him into rehab.
You knocked him sober.
But, man, like, what got me on those stories, those old days of that school was, like I said, we were fighting in the AFL at that time. And then they had feeder shows like Caged Inferno, which eventually became the AFL. The things I saw up there, man, and there's something else I want to talk with you about in a minute. So don't let me forget to circle back around to like pro fighters and amateur fighters.
All right.
But I would see guys up there at these AMI shows. I saw one guy smoking a cigarette as he weighed in. Yeah. Literally smoking a cigarette on the scale.
Oh, God.
They would let, like, whoever fight, man. It's like these people we're talking about just have these.
Well, that kind of makes me feel better about some of the smokers that I did earlier, because I thought it's essentially like Tough Man contest for MMA is essentially what some of those smokers I did was.
Did you fight in Galax? Because that's where we would go for our smokers. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I guess it's too long ago. They can't do anything.
I think I did.
Right across the border?
They had a really weird rule where like anything over 185 pounds was heavyweight. Mm-hmm. Was this the same thing? Or,
no. Well,
okay.
The one I went to, this is a great story. We're sitting there. One of my buddies, he didn't do jiu-jitsu, but he just did kickboxing. So they have some MMA on the card and some kickboxing. This is how long ago it was. We're sitting there in the crowd and the announcer comes out and says, hey, we've had someone drop out at 170. Anybody want to fight at 170? And then, now this is an MMA show with the cage, lights, everything. But it's like you said, those old smokers.
Yeah, man, they're rough. I don't think these two ladies understand how rough some of those things were as far as that kind of stuff goes.
I don't think I want to understand how rough those are.
No, I meant like rough, like just unprofessionally run. Not like, it wasn't like bloodbaths or anything, but it was just like, these were idiots running these things.
Exactly. But, to their credit, they had it set up nice. The lights, you walked out, there was lights, there was music.
Yeah,
so when he says
that nice when I fought in.
These guys sitting beside me, he gets up, and just for context, I have nothing against this, but just for context, he had on his camouflage hat with his fish hook on it, and he said, I'm going to go fight. And I asked his buddy, I said, hey, man, I don't know these guys. I said, can your buddy really fight? Because that guy he's fighting is out of school in New York. There's a guy named Henzo Gracie, and he's really good. So anybody out of his school is going to be really good. Oh, no, he got in a fight out at the pool hall last week and beat up 2 guys. I said, this isn't the pool hall. Go stop your friend. Go stop him. No, he's fine. He goes up there, signs a waiver, cuts off his jeans, borrows evidently gloves, and I don't know. I thought about this later. I wonder if he borrowed a mouthpiece. I don't know. No. Either he didn't have one, which is bad, or he borrowed one, which is maybe worse. I don't know. But
I think I'd rather go without one.
What got me was that he fought in cut off jean shorts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But of course, you can imagine what happened. He was taken down, mounted, and punched out within 10 to 15
Yeah, if it was like Henzo's school, then he was probably, it wasn't just like takedown and mercifully submitted. He was probably beat, because, Henzo, I think he beat guys a lot more from the position than
Henzo was tough.
Yeah.
There was a guy that would always headline those smokers, and I actually reconnected with him. Maybe, well, I say reconnected. I never really talked to him more than a hi or whatever at the thing. But his name was, I think, Tim Manning or something like that. He's still teaching. He popped up on Instagram, and he was always the main event at that smoker I went to. And he was so far ahead of people. Like, you know, maybe at that time, like I was maybe blue belt. I don't remember, but he was, I think he had wrestled. He was just, anyway, he was smashing people.
Yeah.
And it always made me think, like when you had your fight against that guy, the promoters is what I'm getting at. Like, just to put two guys. Remember that one promoter that told me the guy you were fighting was, because you had been training jiu-jitsu with me for maybe a year.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, he's got a big karate background, but he's only been training grappling with me for about a year. And remember they told me the guy boxed or something, but neglected to tell us he college wrestled.
Yeah. They said, oh, he wrestled a little bit. He was like a state champion in high school and wrestled in college as well. They also told us that and we didn't find out that till after the fight. Right. And then we found, he said, oh yeah, he's done a little bit of kickboxing and boxing, but he was an amateur kickboxer and he was undefeated amateur kickboxer as well. Yeah. This is what happens when you fight promoter students.
Was he the promoter student?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why we were allowed to so much.
Well, too bad he got beat.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I tell guys now. I have a promoter. Most of my guys right now, when they're doing their first few fights, they're fight for it. That promotion is usually in Hickory, and they fight now in South Carolina some, but they have a great promoter. I've never seen him mismatch somebody like that.
Oh, that's good.
And that's why we keep going there, because I trust him.
Yeah.
You know how it is. You don't want your students getting thrown.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But like back then, we didn't know. There was not as much social media to be able to find out everything about everybody.
Well, also back then, it had just become legal in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, I fought on some of the very first cards that was legal in North Carolina.
And some of the ones that weren't.
Yeah, that was before that. Yeah, so when we went to Virginia, I only went up there one time for the smoker, and they said, I didn't realize it. I was trying to hit 185, and I go up there, and I was like 186 or something like that, and they said, okay, heavyweight. I said, what? I said, I don't get like an opportunity to... He says, no, that's for professional fighters. This is not a professional fight show. I was like, oh, okay. So I got matched up. You don't get matched up till you get there. I got matched up with this guy who was 225 and a bodybuilder.
Oh my gosh.
And I can't believe I never told you this.
No.
Okay. So yeah. And we go out there. The one thing about that is it seemed like those type of cards drew in a lot of karate, taekwondo, kickboxing guys who didn't really have any groundwork. And I had a very, very limited skill set of groundwork because this is before I started training with you. But I could out groundwork most of those guys.
Right.
Because I had at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Those Gracie tapes were awesome. But anyway, I get out there with this guy and I start striking around with him and everything. And dude gets around behind me and throws like he's going to do a choke from the back. And I did a shoulder throw. Never done that before, and never have I done that in competition except for that one time. It was beautiful.
Nice.
He hit the ground. I jumped on top of him and started punching him in the face, and I dropped back for an arm bar. Dude freaking picked me up like I was a 2-year-old. I had a fully extended arm bar. Yeah, I know you have. And he just goes and just picks me up, and I'm like, I'm not playing with this guy anymore. And I stand up, and this was one of those shows kind of like Pride in the fact that you could fight. The first round was 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything in that entire first round except for run around and kick that guy in the leg until he couldn't walk anymore. And he finally I was like, I'm not getting too close to this guy. And he finally looked over at the ref and he said, I'm done. He couldn't walk. So he had to be helped out of the ring and helped up. But it was like,
that's why I love my leg kicks.
Yeah. I tell everybody all the time, I said, when you stop a fight and make somebody where they can't walk, you learn to love leg kicks.
Oh yeah.
I love to destroy the legs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great, man. Leg kicks are my jam. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
But man, you talk about, how wild things were and rough back in the day. When we first had Hoist here, Joe took him up. Me and Joe took him to, Statesville law enforcement seminar. And I think I've told you this story before. They'll appreciate it. So there were I think maybe 35 law enforcement officers there. And Hoist taught a 3-hour seminar. We did lunch and he came back and taught 3 more hours. So you know, as an instructor, even after an hour or 2 class, how much energy you've expended.
Yes. Yep.
You know, it's tired just teaching.
Yeah.
Well, he did that, and the whole time there's this one bodybuilder guy, and he's bragging about how he just set the state powerlifting mark and all this stuff. And he's a tank. You know, he's a really big dude. Wanting to spar, and Hoist keeps telling him, man, you know, we'll spar later. Just wait. So he does the 6 hours. Hoist spars with everybody in there, and that guy's like, me. And Hoist keeps, oh, wait, my friend, wait. He intentionally sparred with all 30 some other people first. Save that dude for last. This tank of a dude. And Hoist tells everybody, get your cameras out. This guy's going to smash me. Watch, he's going to smash. That guy came at him, and Hoist hit him with like a tomonagi or some sort of butterfly sweep, and got on top and submitted him just with Kesa side mount.
Yeah.
Like, he was smiling for the camera in Kesa, and this big beast of a dude is just trying to get out, and he can't.
Yeah.
And you know how Hoist was. He was sinking it in a little tighter every time the guy moved. And the guy ended up tapping just from a side mount. He was irate. But it was, I was watching. And that same seminar, man, I told you I shouldn't have got me talking about this. That same seminar, I'll say his name, because I already said it, and it's funny, but Joe was going to spar with him. And back then, when we did jiu-jitsu a lot, we didn't nobody butt scooted or not defend their face.
Yeah.
If you left your face open, we would touch it. I mean, we wouldn't hit each other, but we would just slap to let you know.
The reminder.
Yeah. Well, Hoist tells Joe, he says, okay, let's show these guys, when you can touch my face, you touch my face. Just, okay. So they go out, and Joe pulls a guard. Hoist leans over him. And Joe slaps him so hard that I can still hear it. And this is Hoist Gracie back in the 90s. Like, he was the man.
Yeah.
And he slapped him, and you could have heard a pin drop in that room. I was like, oh my God. And I think I still have some video of it. Hoist passed his guard and went to a knee on belly, and he just looked like he was flogging him. The hands were going so fast that Joe couldn't even tap. But then they both laughed because it was funny. He wasn't really hurting him. Yeah. He was slapping him, but they stopped. And just I can still hear it, man, all these years later, because I was in such shock because, when guys like that walk in a room, it's like these guys that you've watched win all these fights and stuff. It's like, he's this famous guy, and he just got slapped. Open hand, just slapped. That was, man. Yeah, those old days were, phew. I'm going to have to send some of these guys after. Let me know when she's teaching a class or something one day. I'm going to send the bicycle dude up here.
All right, sounds great. Great idea.
Get ready to hear my teacher voice. See, I teach the kids classes mostly, so I don't have to deal with the obnoxious adults except for annoying parents. Mm-hmm. So it's usually either the one who thinks their child is an angel. It's like, well, your little angel is a complete brat, so please.
That's actually a good point for people to hear for their parents is, do you have parents start coaching their kids and telling them something different than you said?
Yes. Yeah. So usually when that happens,
they jumped on that quick, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's annoying.
It is annoying. And you're sitting there they're over here trying to tell their kid one thing, and I'm over here going, okay, I can do one of two things. Either I'm going to go over there and be like, okay, please stay silent during the class, because this is my job. Teaching is my job. Please don't do my job for me. It's like, sit back, calm down, or maybe go upstairs. But you can't be talking to your kid while they're on the mat. It's distracting to the other students. Or I can sit there and let their kid get bad advice while I coach the kid they're partnered with. And we just see who wins.
It's the other thing as a teacher, though, you don't want to embarrass or...
Yeah, because you don't want to. Well, you don't want to lose the student, and you also don't want to shame a student because their parents obnoxious.
Yeah,
So
you have to find a way to do it because sometimes, and just speaking business wise, you could lose a student or more.
Yeah,
if that kid leaves. What I've started doing, I've had a kid this is just an example, like he'd be sparring and the other child is mounted on him and the dad's yelling for the kid on the bottom to do an armbar.
Yeah. Parents most of the time don't know as much as they think they do. You don't learn as much as you think you do by sitting on the sidelines and watching it and not doing anything.
And it luckily, for me, I have such a great group of people. Like we do things together. We go swimming together. We go do hikes together. We go watch fights. We have such a good group. But early on, I wouldn't know how to handle that. They would be over there saying, and I would just do like she did. I would just say, look, I know you're trying to help and you think you're telling the right thing, but that poor child is so confused because you're telling him the opposite of what he should do.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope to go down, right? I mean.
Mm-hmm. And most of the time it's something that they've seen on YouTube or saw someone do in
YouTube is the
UFC
best and worst
something.
thing that's ever happened to martial arts, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and so you get these YouTube experts coming in and they're trying to tell their kids, something that they heard from here. And sometimes it's something that has its application somewhere in martial arts, but not what we're doing that day. So sometimes I'll go over there and give an explanation, but I'll talk to the kid instead of the parent so that the parent can hear, but I'm not addressing them because
I hope none of those parents listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
They go, oh, wait, I remember her doing that. Well, to me.
Yeah, but I'll sit there and talk to the kid. I'm over here like, okay, now what you're doing right now I'll pretend I don't hear the parents sometimes. Like I'll just be over here, like make a point to talk to the kids over here and then come over here. Oh, hang on, I noticed you're doing this. It's like, we're not doing that right now. It's like, that has this application here and here and here. You can use that. But right now, what we're working on is this. Because this has its applications here, 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 here.
That's a good way to do it.
And then the kid doesn't feel embarrassed, and the parent is over there going, oh. And I can see them nodding. Because they pay attention most of the time, but if you do it that way, then no one gets embarrassed and storms out, or tries to claim that I was a jerk or something like that.
Right.
You try to be above reproach, at least, and how you handle things. And I'm usually pretty good with dealing with people. There are some situations, man, that you're just sitting there like, I just want to scream so bad.
I'm sure you have it or he has it. People come in, like you said, off of YouTube and start telling you that you're doing something wrong.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was saying, well, number one, we've had to, and honestly, I think it might be more when we're teaching firearm stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because somebody comes in and goes, well, I saw Jim Bob on YouTube teach that I hold the gun this way. And I was like, Jim Bob's wrong. When it comes to firearm stuff, I'm not trying to say everything is not that I am so awesome at any of these things that I do. It's that when I go out to train with people, I train with the absolute best people I can find. That's, you're the best jiu-jitsu guy I've still trained with.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're looking for jiu-jitsu, I highly recommend Scott. Just highly. But I'm constantly going out here. The guys I have trained in firearms with, world class, former special forces, or people that taught former special forces, or just like world class instructors. I'm not going out here getting information from Jim Bob because he's been shooting with this Grampy for 30 years. So when somebody pulls up I had a guy in a class go like, well, if I hold my gun like this, because this is the way I've always held my gun, is that okay? I said, no. I said, you're still not doing it right. And I promise you that if you will just listen to me, you will do it better. And we get out to the range and he reverts back to what he had been doing because I'm teaching concealed carry at like 3 yards away. And he's got this really big pattern. And so we back up to 5 yards. I said, okay, now listen, you did it your way. Now I just do it my way. I said, hold the gun like this. And I fixed his grip. And I said, here you go. I said, now take your 10 shots from here. And his group from 5 yards away was much better than his group from 3 yards away. And I said, you see? And now you're further away and you're shooting a whole lot better. He goes, oh, I get it now. I was like,
yeah, I mean, like you're getting instructions.
It only took you about 5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I cringe every time I see someone hold a gun, cup, and saucer.
Yeah. So, I'm rifle, pistol, shotgun instructor. Both of these girls are pistol and rifle instructors. So that has ruined action movies for Kylie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the youngest you can be is 13 years old to be a nationally ranked certified pistol instructor, and she got it at 13.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So now she's now be a pistol instructor for basically 2 years. And
Whoa.
yeah. And but every time we're watching an action show or movie, she's like, "What is wrong with these people? Don't they know how to hold a gun?" I was like, let's just try to calm down.
So no.
I get it. Well, it's like that with fight scenes.
It is. Oh yeah,
Oh, gosh.
I know.
You cringe. It's like,
Well, more like I feel like now it's not even a surprise when they're doing things wrong anymore with fighting. Like at this point, you just start cheering when they do something that was actually real and applicable. Like you're just like, oh my gosh, did you see that? That was actual like stuff.
Yeah. That reminded me of what I wanted to circle back to. I won't call a guy's name out, but like we were talking about guys that are amateur fighters and pro fighters, and how things change when you have time to do this and not work.
Yeah,
like a regular job, like you're just training.
Yeah.
People look at a lot of these guys, and the top tier guys that don't have to do anything but train, they're on another level.
Yeah.
But just because somebody fights in a prominent organization, it doesn't mean that they're that much better than so many guys that train in so many gyms everywhere. Yeah. We were on the card, that last AFL card is actually where Brian won his belt. There was a UFC guy who fought in the UFC, and he was headlining the show, and he was fighting some guy that I had never heard of, just a dude out of some gym in Colorado, just a fighter.
Yeah.
And everybody, of course, backstage, everybody, so-and-so from the UFC, blah, blah. Man, he got his leg broken in the first round. That guy put him in a knee bar from half guard and popped his knee out for him.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was, of course, at that time over the years, and I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody, but guys that train and fight in smaller, like Bryce Mitchell in the UFC, like he still trains and fights. He's top 10 ranked, I think now, and still trains in his little small gym.
Yeah.
That they're not that much of a difference. Like, don't think that you can't reach it, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
For the guys that are fighting, the younger guys, like the teens, the early 20s, that you're training in some small gym, man, keep training.
Yeah.
Because I've seen these dudes spar or fight and beat guys that have already been on big shows.
Okay, so you think about it like that. Even places like, okay, you run a gym in a smaller town. I run a gym in a smaller town. In training with you, I got to train with guys from multiple places in the world. Because we brought Kirk down a few times. Yeah, Mario. I mean, it was just because you're in a small place doesn't mean you can't train with really big name people.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean your skill discrepancy is much different than these other guys.
It's the work you put in and getting it where you need it. So.
Yeah, I've seen so many guys and made so many connections over the years, like in the States or other countries that are training in gyms like ours, like a smaller town, and the next thing you know, they're fighting Bellator or over there. So,
well, we're going to have to wrap it up. This has been now part 2 of our discussion with Scott. I think we're definitely going to have Scott back on the podcast sometime, if nothing else. I know we still have stories that could just be fun and entertaining, if nothing else. But I think we have determined that ground fighting is not necessary for self-defense, right?
Yes, if you do ground fighting, you'll have lots of stories to talk about later, too.
It might already be answered, but, Kylie's favorite. We always ask one question when we're on a podcast with a guest, and it's Kylie's favorite question. So it's only fair that you get to ask it.
Yeah, you hadn't spoke much.
If there is one myth that you could bust about self-defense, what myth would it be?
Only one.
The first thing that's popping in my head, and this might change on the drive home, but the first thing that's popping on my head is that size doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. It absolutely matters. I won't get into it now, but just a quick example is like I have a blue belt student that's 6'5", 300 pounds and has abs. He's a monster. That's not an average.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You or I, with all our experience, spar with him, we have to work.
Yeah.
Put that same skill level in 140 pounds and we don't have to work.
Right.
Size matters.
Yeah. That's true. And everybody wants to say that it doesn't. But, that's also not saying that you can't, if you're smaller, that you can't defend yourself either. So
well, it takes the training.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you hear that so many times. People are completely one side or the other on that, where size does not matter at all, or it's all size and no skill. So yeah,
it absolutely matters, but it matters less when you have technique.
Yeah.
Once you have technique, then you can deal with that.
Yeah.
It matters because it needs to affect how you train.
There wouldn't be weight classes in fights if it didn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Francis Ngannou would be fighting a lightweight, would be fighting Henry Ceruto. I mean, come on. It's size matters, but technique matters more.
I just, like you said, Francis Ngannou, and I was thinking about Mighty Mouse, and just put those two together and see what happens.
Exactly. Size matters, if you take and I know you've had plenty of guys you spar with that are just, like you talking about the bodybuilder, big dudes.
Yeah.
But because you had technique, you could leg kick him to death.
Yeah.
Say you didn't even know a leg kick.
I'd have been screwed.
Size matters, but I mean, we'll have to talk about that next time. Does technique matter? I think technique matters.
That's a really good idea for another podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
don't ask hard questions.
All right, guys. So thank you very much. Don't forget impactalien.com to get your concealed carry holster, and we'll see you in the next one.